Rockville, Maryland. The Ramada Inn, room 763, 3:30 in the morning, May 20th, 1985. John Walker's hand closes around the grip of his .357 Magnum. The phone call came moments ago. Someone hit your car in the parking lot. He doesn't believe it, not for a second. He moves toward the elevator, gun drawn, heart steady. He's made this kind of move before. Calculated, controlled, professional. The elevator doors open. Two men, suits. Guns already out. FBI, drop your weapon. Walker's revolver rises, points at Agent Bob Hunter's chest. A package of Soviet instructions slips from Walker's other hand, scattering across the hotel carpet. Encryption schedules, dead drop coordinates, handler protocols. The standoff stretches. 3 seconds, 5. Hunter's finger tightens on the trigger, but doesn't pull. He had a story to tell, Hunter would later explain, and I wanted to hear it. Walker lowers his gun. Outside, in the parking lot, 85 FBI agents wait in the darkness. Surveillance vans, unmarked cars, aviation units. The biggest counterintelligence operation in Bureau history. But Walker doesn't know that yet. What he does know, what he's known since October 1967, is that he just sold America's submarine secrets to Moscow for 17 years. Every encryption key, every tactical procedure, every vulnerability, over 1 million classified messages, decrypted, read, exploited. The KGB called it the greatest intelligence coup in Soviet history. If war had come, they said, we would have won. And it all started with a debt-ridden Navy warrant officer walking into the Soviet embassy with a briefcase full of secrets and a simple pitch. I want to sell you top secrets. Before this operation goes dark, subscribe. We're following the trail they tried to bury. Washington, D.C., October 1967. A red 1964 MG sports car pulls up to the Soviet embassy on 16th Street. The driver is 30 years old, Navy warrant officer, top secret clearance, communications watch officer for the entire Atlantic submarine fleet. His name is John Anthony Walker Jr. He's drowning in debt. His bar, the Bamboo Shack near Charleston, hemorrhages money. His marriage is collapsing. Creditors circle. And Walker has access to something Moscow would pay anything to possess: American naval encryption systems. He walks through the embassy doors carrying photocopied documents, classified materials from Comsublant, Commander Submarine Force Atlantic Fleet, the keys to America's underwater kingdom. The embassy's internal security specialist, Yakov Lukasevitz, has no protocol for this. American walk-ins don't happen, especially not Navy officers offering secrets. He calls upstairs. KGB Station Chief Boris Solomatin answers. Solomatin is suspicious. FBI trap. Provocation. Test. He comes down personally anyway. The interview lasts 2 hours. Walker spreads documents across the table. Next month settings for the KL-47 encryption machine. Communication procedures. Authentication codes. Solomatin, a naval enthusiast from the Black Sea port of Odessa, recognizes immediately what he's seeing. The backbone of American naval communications. Walker names his price. Several $1,000s. Cash. Solomatin doesn't negotiate. He pays. Walker drives home with money in his pocket and a contact schedule in his head. Weekly drops. Suburban Maryland. Virginia back roads. Dead drops marked by crushed soda cans and utility poles. It's that simple, that fast, that catastrophic. By January 1968, just weeks before North Korea captures the USS Pueblo and its cryptographic equipment, the Soviets possess both the hardware and the key settings. Every encrypted message the US Navy sends, Moscow reads in real time. FBI supervisor Joe Wolfinger would later describe Walker with clinical precision. Ambitious, cocky, and calculating. He was hungry for money, unhampered by conscience, the perfect spy. And for the next 18 years, John Walker will do something no Soviet intelligence officer ever dreamed possible. He'll recruit his own family into treason. The tradecraft is meticulous. Soviet precision applied to American geography. KGB handler Oleg Kalugin spends weeks scouting locations, rural roadsides in Montgomery County, Forest Service roads in Virginia, each site marked by something permanent. A utility pole, a fallen tree, a faded no hunting sign, something that won't move, won't change. Walker's procedure never varies. Sunday evening, he loads his silver-blue Chevrolet Astro van, documents hidden in a gym bag, camera equipment, civilian clothes. He tells friends and family he's driving to Charlotte. Instead, he heads north. Counter-surveillance begins immediately. U-turns on empty roads, parking lot cut-throughs, fake stops at gas stations where he watches traffic patterns. The route can take 4 hours for a 90-mile drive. At designated intersections, he looks for signals: crushed Pepsi cans, 7-Up cans, colored tape on mailboxes. Green means proceed, red means abort. The Soviets are watching too, from diplomatic vehicles with encrypted radios. When the route is clean, Walker approaches the drop site. He parks, scans the darkness, then deposits a crumpled brown paper bag under debris beside the marked tree. Inside, classified documents photographed onto Minox film, encryption key lists, tactical manuals, submarine patrol schedules, wrapped in layers of trash so casual observers see only garbage. Payment waits at a second location, usually $500 to $1,000 per drop, sometimes more. Over 17 years, Walker will collect approximately $1 million, $55,000 annually, the going rate for dismantling America's naval supremacy. The money funds Walker's lifestyle. A detective agency, Confidential Reports Inc., that debugs Newport News shipbuilding before classified. Meetings while simultaneously selling America's secrets. A sailboat. Go-go club visits. Expenses that should trigger security reviews but never do. The Navy's personnel security system operates on trust. Self-certified document destruction. Minimal background check updates. No financial monitoring. Walker exploits every gap. But by 1976, Walker faces a problem. He retires from active duty. He loses direct access to current encryption materials. The KGB is unhappy. The money flow threatens to stop. Walker needs new sources. Active duty sources. He starts recruiting. San Diego, 1970. Jerry Whitworth is a Navy radioman, skilled, reliable. Access to communication systems. John Walker senses an easy mark. They meet through weekend sailing trips. Walker projects confidence, success, the image of a man who knows secrets and makes money from knowing them. Whitworth is drawn in. 1974. Airport restaurant. Walker makes his pitch. The cover story is perfect. The intelligence isn't going to the Soviets. It's going to Israel, American allies. Nothing harmful, just helping friends. Whitworth believes him, or wants to believe him. The distinction hardly matters. Whitworth begins supplying materials, first from the USS Enterprise, then the USS Constellation, then Diego Garcia Communications Facility. Years of access. Thousands of documents. The encryption systems he compromises read like a technical manual for America's naval infrastructure. KW-7, Orestes, Tactical Teletype Encryption, KY-8, Secure Voice Communications, KG-14, Naval Tactical Data, KBRA-37, Fleet Broadcast Reception, KL-47, Offline Encryption. Each system has monthly key lists, daily authentication codes, emergency procedures. Whitworth photographs everything. 25 to 50 rolls of Minox film per delivery. When Whitworth eventually learns the truth, that the intelligence goes to Moscow, not Tel Aviv, he continues anyway. The money helps, $332,000 over a decade, but the real hook is deeper. Walker has made him complicit. The first delivery created the trap. Every subsequent delivery just tightens it. Federal prosecutors will later call Whitworth the ring's most damaging member, more damaging than Walker himself, because Whitworth had access to current operational systems while Walker coordinated from outside. But Walker isn't finished recruiting. 1980, his brother Arthur needs money. Their joint car stereo business collapses. Arthur sits in Walker's pickup truck, defeated, desperate. "I could cry," Arthur admits. Walker sees opportunity. "I have friends," Walker says carefully, "who will pay for classified information." Arthur Walker works at VSC Corporation, defense contractor, ship repair documentation. Nothing highly classified, nothing strategic. But Arthur needs money, and John Walker needs to keep the ring active. Arthur provides 2 documents, routine ship repair records. The KGB pays $12,000. Arthur spends it on a gas grill, a hairpiece, and car brakes. A retired KGB general will later dismiss Arthur's contributions as worthless. But Arthur doesn't know that. He just knows his older brother, the brother who once saved him from jail by getting him into the Navy, has offered a lifeline. And he takes it. The family business is almost complete. John Walker has recruited his best friend, his brother. Only one more person remains. His son, Michael Walker, is 22 years old, yeoman 3rd class, USS Nimitz. He can't locate the Soviet Union on a map, doesn't follow politics, doesn't understand the Cold War, but he understands one thing perfectly. His father's approval matters. After John and Barbara Walker divorce in 1976, John gains custody. Father and son become close, too close. John takes Michael to go-go clubs. They smoke marijuana together. John gets Michael women, treats him like a peer, like a partner. When Michael earns his GED and enlists in the Navy, John is delighted, proud, but also calculating. By 1983, Michael has access, not high-level access, but access. He works in the ship's administrative office. Classified documents await destruction. Burn bags filled with materials nobody checks carefully. John Walker makes the pitch during a visit. Direct, straightforward, the way you'd propose a business partnership. Michael agrees immediately. For the money, he'll later tell investigators, and to please my father. The psychology is textbook. A young man desperate for paternal validation. A father who has groomed him for this moment. The KGB's assessment was clinical. Michael Walker represented continuation of access, nothing more. The emotional emotional dimension was irrelevant. Michael begins rifling through burn bags. Over 1,500 documents. Tomahawk cruise missile schematics, nuclear launch authentication procedures, spy satellite vulnerability assessments, aircraft carrier operational plans. He photographs them using equipment his father provides, delivers them during port visits. John promises $5,000 monthly. Michael receives $1,000 total. The betrayal has no ideological component, no political motivation, just a son trying to please his father, and a father willing to sell his son's future for Soviet cash. But by 1984, the empire John Walker built over 17 years begins cracking, not from counterintelligence investigation, not from signals intelligence breakthrough, not from KGB defector testimony, from his ex-wife, drunk, angry, making a phone call. Barbara Walker discovered her husband's espionage in spring 1968. She pried open a lockbox in his desk, found photographic equipment, maps with dead drop locations marked, Soviet contact protocols. When confronted, John admitted everything. Then he took her on a drop, made her complicit, showed her $35,000 in cash. The hook was set. The marriage endured 8 more years, deteriorating through violence. John gave Barbara 2 black eyes during one fight, alcoholism, and his relentless affairs. The divorce in 1976 freed Barbara legally, but not psychologically. John made late-night drunken calls, bragging about his Russian contacts, taunting her. Barbara sank into alcoholism and poverty, struggling with alimony payments John rarely made, watching him live comfortably while she scraped by. The KGB had warned Walker repeatedly. Barbara is a weak link, unstable, dangerous. Walker ignored them, arrogant, confident she'd never talk. He was wrong. November 17th, 1984. Barbara's daughter Laura reveals that John tried recruiting her into espionage. Laura refused, but the revelation triggers something in Barbara. Johnny Walker is a traitor to his country, Barbara says. I'm really going to get him for this. That's my country. She calls the FBI Boston office, drunk, rambling, bitter about alimony. The intake agent is skeptical. Barbara drinks a water glass of vodka during the interview. Her story sounds like revenge fantasy. Bitter ex-wife weaponizing accusations. The Boston office files the report as rantings of a drunken, bitter woman. Takes no action. The report sits inactive for months until a supervisor conducting routine file reviews stumbles across it and forwards it to Norfolk, March 12, 1985. The FBI opens a formal counterintelligence investigation, codename Windflyer. Walker is a licensed pilot. The name fits. Agents rent office space in a Norfolk strip mall, tap Walker's phones, listen for over a month. They hear enough. Operational language, Soviet contact references, cryptic conversations about deliveries and payments. But they need more. They need to catch him in the act. May 19, 1985. Walker loads bags into his silver-blue Astro van, tells associates he's driving to Charlotte. Instead, he heads north toward Washington. 85 FBI agents mobilize, surveillance teams, aviation units, command post coordination, the largest mobile surveillance operation in bureau history. Walker executes counter-surveillance, hours of it, circling blocks, pulling over repeatedly, cutting through parking lots. The FBI rejected electronic trackers, too bulky, too easy to detect. They follow visually and nearly lose him. For 3 hours, Walker's van disappears. FBI supervisor Joe Wolfinger recalls the tension. It got very quiet in there for a while. We were all worried. We were just hoping we hadn't screwed this whole thing up. Then, sunset. The van reappears. Cheers erupt in the command post. Walker approaches Partnership Road near Poolsville, Maryland. Rural, isolated, marked by a utility pole and no hunting sign. The KGB's chosen drop site. 8:30 p.m. Walker deposits a crumpled brown paper bag. Inside, 129 classified documents from the USS Nimitz. Michael's latest delivery, plus coded letters identifying ring members, D for Whitworth, K for Arthur, S for Michael. The FBI watches, photographs, documents everything. Soviet Vice Consul Alexei Tkachenko is spotted in the area, but he never approaches the drop. An FBI agent had accidentally collected the 7-Up can Walker left as a signal. Its absence alerts Tkachenko. He aborts, drives away, flies back to Moscow 3 days later. Walker proceeds to the second location, expecting $200,000 payment. Nothing is there. He drives back and forth, puzzled, suspicious. 2 hours of circling. Finally, he gives up, checks into the Ramada Inn in Rockville, room 763, registers as J.A. Johnson. The FBI command post debates timing. Arrest him now or wait for Soviet contact. The decision is made. They move. 3:30 a.m., May 20th. The phone call. Someone hit your car. Walker grabs his .357, moves toward the elevator. The doors open. FBI. Drop your weapon. The standoff lasts seconds, feels longer. Hunter's assessment is immediate. This man will talk. This man wants to talk. Walker lowers his gun, surrenders, shows no fear, no remorse. Outside, seeing the parking lot filled with agents, he remarks, "I had no idea so many people were involved." FBI Supervisor Wolfinger considers it a compliment. Walker talks for hours, confirms everything. The walk-in at the Soviet embassy, the dead drops, the family recruitment, 17 years of betrayal. But he makes one calculation, one deal, one attempt to save something from the wreckage. His son. The dominoes fall fast. May 22nd. USS Nimitz, Haifa, Israel. Naval Investigative Service agents board the carrier. Proceed directly to Michael Walker's berthing area. Find a 15-pound box of classified documents adjacent to his bunk, waiting for the next delivery to his father. Michael Walker is 22 years old, surrounded by Marines and sailors who now know he's a traitor. NES agents remove him under armed guard. The looks on his shipmates' faces tell the story. If not for the guards, Michael Walker doesn't make it off that ship alive. May 28th, Virginia. Arthur Walker is confronted. FBI agents advise him repeatedly to remain silent until he retains counsel. Arthur ignores the advice, talks for 35 hours, desperate to show remorse, desperate to minimize his role. Agent Barry Colvert observes, "There was Art the traitor, and there was Art the person." Arthur expects leniency. Cooperation should count for something. In movies, John Wayne always played fair. But this isn't a movie. June 3rd, San Francisco. Jerry Whitworth has been trying to expose the ring for over a year. Anonymous letters to the FBI signed Rus seeking immunity. The Bureau refused to negotiate via anonymous mail. Now, cornered by evidence linking him to those letters, Whitworth surrenders. He will receive the harshest sentence, 365 years, 1 year for each day of systemic betrayal. The judge calls him a zero at the bone, representing the evil of banality. But before sentencing comes trial, and before trial comes damage assessment. The Navy needs to know, what did we lose? Rear Admiral William Studeman, Director of Naval Intelligence. His affidavit is 12 pages, single-spaced, classified. The public summary is devastating enough. Walker's ring compromised. KW-7 encryption system, tactical fleet communications, KL-47 crypto equipment, offline message encryption, KWR-37 receivers, fleet broadcast systems, authentication procedures, nuclear war emergency protocols, SOSUS network data, sound surveillance system locations and capabilities, submarine tracking methods, how America hunts Soviet submarines, carrier battle group tactics, operational procedures and deployment patterns. Secretary of Defense Caspar Weinberger states it plainly. Moscow gained access to weapons and sensor data and naval tactics, terrorist threats, and surface, submarine, and airborne training, readiness, and tactics. The KGB employed thousands of personnel exploiting Walker's intelligence. They decrypted over 1 million classified messages, 150 messages per day, every day, for 17 years. But the strategic impact goes deeper than message traffic. After learning from Walker how American submarines tracked Soviet vessels through propeller cavitation signatures and acoustic profiles, Soviet engineers redesigned their submarines. The Victor III class boats became known in U.S. naval circles as Walker-class submarines. The later Akula class achieved near-total acoustic stealth. Admiral James D. Watkins credits Walker with fundamentally improving Soviet submarine construction. The technological leap wasn't Soviet innovation. It was American vulnerability, mapping provided by a traitor. KGB defector Vitaly Yurchenko is blunt. The greatest case in KGB history. We deciphered millions of your messages. If there had been a war, we would have won it. Not hyperbole. Assessment. The Soviet submarine fleet would have known American positions, tactics, and communications in real time. The North Atlantic, NATO's crucial theater, would have become a Soviet shooting gallery. The financial cost of recovery, $1 billion. Complete overhaul of Navy communications architecture, new encryption systems, new procedures, new security protocols. The Defense Personnel and Security Research Center, PERSEREC, is founded specifically because of Walker, to research personnel security vulnerabilities, to prevent the next John Walker. But some damage can't be repaired with money or new systems. The psychological damage, the trust damage. Every naval officer now viewed with suspicion, every communications specialist scrutinized, every clearance holder questioned. Secretary of the Navy John Lehman declares they should be shot or hanged. Federal law prohibits execution for peacetime. Espionage. Life imprisonment is the maximum penalty. The prosecutors push for maximum. The trials proceed through 1985 and 1986. John Walker makes a deal. Testify against Whitworth. Submit to extensive debriefings. Reveal everything. In exchange, maximum 25 years for Michael. Walker cooperates. Talks for months. provides details on Soviet tradecraft, handler identities, drop site selection, recruitment techniques, the KGB's American operations blueprint exposed. But his motivation isn't patriotic redemption, it's transactional calculation. Save the sun. That's the only thing that matters now. November 6th, 1986, federal courtroom, sentencing, John Anthony Walker Jr. 3 concurrent life terms plus 15 years. No possibility of parole. Arthur Walker, 3 life terms plus 40 years, $250,000 fine, no possibility of parole. Jerry Whitworth, 365 years imprisonment, $10,000 fine, eligible for parole in the year 2107. Michael Walker, 25 years imprisonment, eligible for parole after 15. Judge John Vukasin addresses Whitworth. You are a zero at the bone. You represent the evil of banality. If the law permitted, I would request your execution. Federal prosecutor William Farmer echoes the sentiment. If we could have, we would have. Admiral Studeman's final assessment enters the record. No sentence that this court can impose under the law could atone for the unprecedented damage and treachery perpetrated on this country by John Walker. Arthur Walker, after 35 hours of desperate cooperation, after showing remorse, after believing fair play still exists, receives 3 life sentences. He sits in his cell afterward, bitter, confused. Whatever happened to fair play, he asks. It just isn't out there anymore, is it? The American justice system has an answer. Fair play ended when you photographed ship repair documents for Soviet intelligence, when you chose $12,000 over your country, when you betrayed every sailor who trusted the communications you helped protect. Fair play is for patriots, not traitors. Barbara Walker receives immunity. Key witness. Her drunken phone call, initially dismissed as the rantings of a bitter ex-wife, saved American naval supremacy. She kept Walker's secret for 17 years, but in the end, her conscience won. Michael Walker serves 15 years, paroled in February 2000, lives now on Cape Cod, under his middle name Lance, works as an artist, says he feels no animosity toward either parent. The psychology of that statement is staggering. Arthur Walker dies in federal prison July 5, 2014, 79 years old, never paroled, never freed. John Walker dies in prison August 28, 2014, 77 years old. His last years spent writing a memoir, My Life as a Spy. In it, he claims the Cold War was a hoax and sharing information caused no harm. He asks forgiveness only for the risk I would have caused if an actual war had taken place. No remorse, no understanding, no recognition of the sailors whose lives he endangered, the submarines he compromised, the nation he betrayed. FBI agent Robert Hunter's assessment remains definitive. I think the man was pure evil. The Walker case transformed American counterintelligence. Congress mandated reducing clearance holders by 10%, expanding polygraph programs, centralizing security clearance approval processes. The Navy, which had resisted these changes before Walker's arrest, now implements them completely. Financial monitoring becomes standard. Unexplained wealth triggers investigation. Self-certified document destruction ends. 2-person integrity applies to classified materials handling. The systemic failures Walker exploited get systematically eliminated. But the real victory isn't procedural, it's operational. The FBI conducted one of the largest mobile surveillance operations in American history. 85 agents, aviation units, command-post coordination, 3 hours of missing target, then recovery, then arrest, not through signals intelligence breakthrough, not through technical penetration of Soviet communications, through old-fashioned detective work, following leads, watching patterns, staying patient. Barbara Walker's call starts it, FBI persistence finishes it, and when Walker stands in that hotel corridor at 3:30 in the morning, gun pointed at Agent Hunter's chest, Hunter makes the calculation every FBI agent is trained to make. Protect the public, gather intelligence, advance American security. He doesn't shoot, he waits. The gun lowers, the arrest happens, the debriefings begin. American intelligence learns Soviet tradecraft, dead-drop protocols, handler techniques, recruitment approaches, the entire KGB playbook for running American sources. That intelligence protects future operations, exposes other potential penetrations, strengthens counterintelligence procedures across all agencies. The Soviet handler who recruited Walker, promoted to Deputy Chief of Soviet Intelligence, secretly designated hero of the Soviet Union, won his battle, but America won the war. The Walker Ring represented Moscow's greatest Cold War intelligence coup, but its exposure and prosecution represented American resilience. The system was penetrated, the system adapted, the system prevailed. Secretary Weinberger summarizes it. The Soviet Union made significant gains in naval warfare directly attributable to Walker's spying, but America's response ensures those gains cannot be repeated. The billion-dollar communications overhaul, the Perserec research programs, the enhanced security procedures, the cultural shift toward counterintelligence awareness. Walker damaged America. America repaired the damage and built stronger systems. That's the victory. Not that we caught one spy, that we learned from the catching. that we prevented the next one. Vitaly Yurchenko, the KGB defector who called Walker the greatest case in KGB history, defected in 1985. The same year Walker was arrested. His intelligence confirmed the damage, but also confirmed Soviet methods. American intelligence adapted. By the time the Soviet Union dissolved in 1991, the Walker case had become a counterintelligence textbook. What not to do, what to watch for, how systems fail, how systems recover. The Walker family destroyed themselves, but they didn't destroy American naval power. They tried. For 17 years, they sold over 1 million classified messages to Moscow. They compromised encryption systems protecting American sailors worldwide. But those sailors kept sailing. Those submarines kept patrolling. That navy kept protecting American interests. Because the system was bigger than one traitor, or 4 traitors, or any number of traitors. The system was designed to survive penetration, to detect compromise, to respond effectively, to maintain mission capability, even under attack. John Walker walked into the Soviet embassy in October 1967, believing he could sell America's secrets without consequence. He was wrong. Barbara Walker made a phone call in November 1984, believing the FBI wouldn't take her seriously. She was wrong. The FBI launched Operation Windflyer in March 1985, believing they could catch Walker in the act. They were right. And on May 20th, 1985, at 3:30 in the morning, in a hotel corridor in Rockville, Maryland, Agent Robert Hunter chose not to shoot a man pointing a gun at him because he wanted to hear the story, and America needed to learn the lesson. The story is told, the lesson is learned, the system is stronger. That's victory. American victory, the kind that matters, the kind that endures. John Walker betrayed his country for money. His country responded with justice, with reform, with resilience. The game ended, not with a bullet, but with a knock. Truth mattered then. It matters now. John Walker sold submarine secrets for 17 years. His brother joined him for greed. His best friend joined for money. His son joined to please his father. They compromised over 1 million classified messages. They gave Moscow the ability to read American naval communications in real time. They reshaped Cold War naval strategy. But Barbara Walker made a phone call. The FBI listened. 85 agents followed John Walker through Maryland darkness. And at 3:30 in the morning, Agent Robert Hunter didn't shoot. The system worked. Eventually, imperfectly, but completely. The Walker family destroyed themselves. America survived, adapted, prevailed. That's the story they tried to bury. The story of systematic betrayal met with systematic justice, of vulnerability exposed and corrected, of American intelligence learning from failure and building strength from weakness. The war never ended. The Cold War became the intelligence war. The threats evolved, but the mission remains constant. Protect America, catch traitors, learn lessons, build stronger systems. John Walker is dead, his ring is destroyed, but the FBI agents who caught him, the prosecutors who convicted him, and the security reforms that followed him protect America today. Justice was served, but the war never ended. Subscribe for the stories they buried.